All right, so I need to talk about, you know, I'll talk about the dreams I have, especially when it comes to hell and heaven. But I had this dream some years ago, so. But I recall all of them because they're pretty damn scary. I mean, some of them don't exactly involve fire. You know what I mean? There is fire there, but there's a whole sea of glass. There are creatures that are unexplainable, like the insects that you see here are massive in hell, and they are ruthless. Um, but this particular dream, I wanted to tell you what I saw. It is very vivid what I saw, very real. All right, so I was, and okay, so I was in hell and I was lined up with a bunch of people, and there was a literal lake of fire. And the thing about it is, we were standing like on like a cliff, and it had to be maybe 10 or 12 feet, and then boom, you fall into the fire. That's it. And we were standing on this cliff, and there was, of course, a demon there. And the demon was basically watching us. He didn't push us in, but he knew that we were all going to end up in there. But the way we end up in there was the scariest part of all. What he did was he waited. Once we were all lined up, we were just standing there because none of us wanted to jump into the fire. And I'm looking at these people, standing there, and there's like a walk up to it, right? So we're all around the edge of it. There's a bunch of people around the edge of it. But once you get up to this kind of like this ridge, you know, is where it really, really begins. And they were standing there, and there was a woman, who was standing there. But there were, people all around her, but she was standing right on the edge, and you can't go back. Like there's a wall there, and then there's, the demons are standing right there, and they're just watching you. There's nowhere you can go. It's dark except for the illumination of the actual fire. And while we were sitting there, just standing there, horrified, of course, because we know we're in a terrible place, this person, pitch black, burnt to burnt darker than you'll ever see dark, jumps up out of the fire and grabs this woman and brings her into the fire. And I mean, it was something right out of a movie. It was horrible. And once that one woman goes into the fire and disappears, and of course she's screaming like hell, you just see these same beings coming out of the fire, just grabbing people. And once it started, it just didn't stop. It was just jump up, snatch, jump up, snatch, jump up, snatch. And there was nowhere you could go because there were demons all around us, and they were armed, Uh, and plus, they're huge. Listen, these demons are not small beings. They are colossal, and some of them are, at their regular height stand like 10, 12 feet. I mean, they're ridiculous and they're wide as heck. Like, you're not going to beat these creatures. They make our strongest man look like a child. It is ridiculous. Their strength is ridiculous. And they hate you. They hate you, but they watched all of the people, just hundreds of people just being snatched into this fire. And of course, before it happened to me, I woke up. So that is something that I did see, and it's very true. I'll tell you about another dream that I had some years ago. This one did not involve fire. This one involved, I'll tell you the one that was really, really, really interesting to me. Well, they're all interesting because they're all horrible, but I've had so many. I was, I know I was in hell. I was standing there, and there was a building in front of me. It was a house, actually. It was just a regular house. We were standing like on a brick road, and I'm standing there, and I watched this woman walk up, and she had on a skirt. She had on a skirt. She had on a blouse that showed her belly, and she was a young lady. She couldn't have been no older than 20s or something like that. She was young, and she came out of nowhere, and she started talking to me, and I looked at her and started talking to her. But while I'm talking to her, I'm noticing on her shoulder was a small creature, and it was just there, and it had a hold of her. It wasn't hurting her at that time, but she couldn't get rid of it. And so she's like smiling at me, and she's talking to me, and I forgot what we said. But she's talking to me, and then she basically said, hey, I got to go into the house. She goes into the house, and when she goes into the house, the door shuts, and all you hear is screaming. All you hear is just torture, screaming. Whatever this thing was, of course, it was some kind of demon, but it was a small one that stayed on her shoulder. Once she went in, and she actually laid down on the bed, this thing started tearing her body from limb to limb. And I think it was a masturbation demon. But I think that was the whole significance of it. It was masturbation. These are demons that are talking to you. And a lot of us have been caught up in the masturbation because they give us visions and of things we used to do, and women or men that whoever you are, you used to be involved with, and desires of your heart that you'll probably never obtain. And especially if you're alone, these demons really come out of nowhere. And especially if you get older, you're not as young and virile, but you wish you were, young and strong again. And, you're looking at younger, stronger people and wishing you had the attention that you once had. You had the sexual drive. Some of you don't have the same sexual drive you have because you're older. That's what happens. And your sexual drive comes in spurts. It's not all the way on like it used to be because you're older. And when it hits you, you're just like, I want to, I don't have nobody to have sex with, or the person I have doesn't want to have sex with me, or whatever type of situation that you're in. You're married, you're not married, whatever it comes down to, you decide, I'm going to watch, some type of something. Or, especially in the morning, you're like, I'm going to, go ahead and do this and, blah, blah, blah. And all these visions are being put. Well, that is a demon that's doing it to you. So I just wanted to tell you guys that, be careful of that. You got to pray about that. You got to ask God to get rid of that because you don't want that to take you to hell. I have more dreams to talk about if you guys want to hear them, but listen, hell is real, demons are real, God is real, angels are real, and none of them are anything to play with.